everyone. Welcome to our Instruction Division meeting. We have a lot of items to go over today, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Holly, and I will definitely speak with you in some additional detail later on. So good morning and welcome, and we thank you for joining us.
Good morning, everyone. I tried to get Jen to play some walk-up music for me, and I was thinking Pink Floyd, The Wall. Is anybody out there? Oh, we forgot the applause meter. I'm so sorry, but this is a really tough crowd. And then last night I was thinking, and I thought, well, maybe I could do the Muppets as the walk-up music. And I was thinking about pigs in cyberspace. Oh, come on. It's a really tough audience. So, okay. I almost feel like Jimmy Fallon when he was doing his whole show at home, and all he had was his two little girls to clap or heckle him. It's similar to that. So, good morning, everybody. I'm Holly McKee, and I am the director of the Center for Student Success. And the last time that all of you were on campus, I was the director of something else. So we've been busy during quarantine and shutdown and remote work. So the Center for Student Success is a combination of the Academic Success Center or Support Department, Academic Support Department, and the Support Services Department. And the folks that you're seeing on the screen are those that make up our new Center for Student Success. So Jasmine Arms will still be with us as the department assistant. We have a brand new to KCC employee, Karen Shalgren, who serves as an education specialist. Natalie Hammond is back with us as an instructional assistant for math. Jeff Holdsworth is a process specialist, and Jeff's position is twofold. He will be helping with English tutoring as well as the coordination of tutoring services. Sarah Imus is back with us as an instructional assistant in math. April Kratt is an instructional assistant in English. Cindy Lingbeck is the new disability and tutoring coordinator. And Matanya Sewell is our department assistant for records management. It should be noted that the Center for Student Success is housed in what is formerly known as the Bridge. So come on up when you're on campus, see what we've done to the space. We are still in the process of all moving up there, but soon, real soon, it will be the permanent home for all of us listed on the screen. So let's talk about some other improvements and changes that we have within the Center for Student Success. Academic tutoring still takes place in the lab that is formerly known as the Bridge. We are really excited, though, this semester to start fall semester with the ability to have our KCC employees actually offering virtual tutoring. In the past, we had only had NetTutor, a third-party service available. They still are available because let's be real, we're not going to be working at midnight when some of our students want tutoring. So NetTutor is still available for our students, but we also have a variety of tutoring options virtually offered by our own staff. We also still offer a Dropbox if your students would like to submit a writing sample for review or feedback. They can submit that through an email account off of our homepage, and our instructional assistants will provide feedback and get that back to them. At this point, as we're all trying to adopt new processes and procedures in order to keep everyone safe and us working from campus, we are requiring appointments for all of our tutoring. So if you go to the CSS website off of the homepage under services, The Center for Student Success is listed there, and you can see how students can schedule an appointment for tutoring with us. Another service that is still taking place within our department is disability services. As you all know, and we will keep saying, the Americans with Disabilities Act requires us to provide appropriate, reasonable disability accommodations. It also allows us to set a process and procedure in place in order to do that. So it is important that you know, so that you can help your students know how to access services. They would need to contact the Center for Student Success. They need to provide us with appropriate documentation, and we can talk further with them about what that looks like. After we receive appropriate documentation, Cindy Lingbeck and or myself will be determining what reasonable accommodations look like. At that point, faculty will receive a notification, and that will come to you via email. A student also gets the same copy of that notification. At that point, we encourage the two of you to actually have a conversation. It is completely appropriate to say, "Hey, Susie, I received this email from the Center for Student Success. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the accommodations and what you are interested in accessing for this class." A student may decide they don't want to utilize the accommodations that they have available. That is their decision, but it's really a good idea for you to have the conversation with them. Any questions? Just kidding. Okay, let's talk academic testing. As we continue to adapt processes and procedures to fit kind of the new fall semester normal, our testing capacity is very, very limited. As most of you know, we have a very small testing room for academic testing, for online and makeup testing, and disability testing. That space is even smaller now. We can only fit up to 6 students at any given time. As you can imagine, the online course offerings have ballooned this semester, and as such, we just don't have the capacity to offer proctored testing for all students that may need it. As a point of clarification, if you are offering a hybrid class or teaching a hybrid class, you are going to be responsible for assessment within your class structure. So please don't send those students to us unless it's a makeup situation or a disability situation. And I think you're going to hear a little more about that a little later on. The college has purchased and has access to a proctoring software that faculty can access. As much as possible, you are encouraged to proctor your assessments within your own class. Our hours continue to evolve. Right now, the hours for students to access our face-to-face tutoring as well as proctored testing are 9 to 3 Monday through Friday. Virtual tutoring hours are longer than that, but students accessing student and community services in a face-to-face capacity are limited to 9 to 3 Monday through Friday, and that is at least through the end of September. If you want to see the latest and greatest time allotments for students to access our services, please log on to our website. We are updating that as things shift. As always, we are still happy to assist and coordinate the following 2 services for our KCC students. We offer the TRIO Student Support Services grant. It is geared towards first-generation, low-income, and disabled students, and it's for students who are seeking a bachelor degree after leaving KCC. I'm really thrilled to announce that grant was just approved by the Department of Education for another 5-year cycle, And that means another $420,000 to KCC to serve this student population each year for the next 5 years. Round of applause. This is a really hard audience. The next grant that we're happy to help with is the Special Populations Perkins Grant. This grant is a part of the Perkins funding that comes to us from the federal government to the state and then to KCC. It is geared towards occupational degree-seeking students. It's important for you to know that these two programs exist. You don't need to know all of the caveats and ins and outs of it. So if you have a student that you think could utilize some extra assistance, please ask us. We are happy to troubleshoot with you. If I'm not the person that can solve the problem, I always say, I got friends. I've got friends on campus, I've got friends in the community, and that means that I can refer students both to KCC resources as well as to community resources. Additionally, limited financial assistance may be available through my office as well. The two grant programs offer the opportunity for those participants to access grant dollars, but I also am the starting point for the KCC Beyond Tuition Grant for emergency needs. So think a student's car breaks down and they don't have the money to repair it to get to their clinical site. Beyond Tuition is a really good resource for that student. I also am a part of the CARES Act hardship funding process. So if you have a student who has been impacted by COVID in a financial manner and has had some expenses that have resulted because of that, you can direct them to the student portal, and under e-forms, this grant application is there. This is part of the federal funding that came to KCC to assist us in helping our students through this difficult time. Finally, feel free to contact me. This is my email address on the screen. This is our department number. If you are calling me directly from off campus, you can call 565-2629. If you're on campus, just call 2629 and you can get my direct line. I am happy to have you back on campus. We have missed you. I look forward to seeing many of you very soon. Don't hesitate to call. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Good morning. Happy, highly unusual fall semester, and one I'm sure you're thrilled to get underway. I know we all are, and it makes some sense to share some exciting updates with you about Starfish. It's been adventurous, salty at times. Yes, that was intentional on the Starfish pun. Last couple of months on the Starfish front. So my name is Tara Zaremba. I am Dean of Student Services here at KCC, and I have lots of Starfish updates to share with you. And it makes me, wrong direction, this way. I'm super excited to start out with some information about our resident Starfish superhero, which is Pernell Gibson. Many of you have worked with him already, so you know his talents. But we officially hired Pernell in as our student retention coordinator. And as most of you know, Starfish is our retention software, our retention platform. And so this position is really important to the institution as we move forward with our many retention efforts. So Pernell officially moved into his position in late February. We closed our facilities on March 18th. So like many of you, we transitioned quickly to remote work. And Pernell hit the ground running on a number of Starfish changes, edits, which we're going to share with you as we move to working remotely from home. In his role as Starfish coordinator, as student retention coordinator, he's largely going to be our Starfish system administrator, which means not only making sure our system is working correctly, but also being that sort of liaison and that bridge between our IS staff as well as the Starfish tech support folks. And so if you ever have questions, comments, concerns, things don't look quite right, this platform is enormous. And while we keep adding features, there's still a lot to learn. And sometimes with all technology, things don't always go exactly as planned. So Purnell is your go-to with helping to figure out why things might look a little different than what you may expect. He'll also be leading some really important initiatives over these next couple of years with providing some support for students, staff, and faculty in ongoing trainings and just sort of being that, again, resident Starfish superhero. So in addition to that, on the retention side, Purnell will also be helping out with Code of Conduct and Title IX investigations. There's a natural tie here with these things because, again, as Starfish being our retention platform, we sometimes know that behavior and the classroom performance go hand in hand. And so if we can have someone that can help us connect those dots on both fronts, that's going to be incredibly helpful to us. And so that will be Purnell's role. He's going to talk with you shortly. But in the interim, if I could share with you this slide, which you've seen before, most recently as of January, and it was our implementation plan, and from the point that we selected Starfish to the point that we were in January. As of March, this plan has been vastly edited. So when we entered into the spring 20 semester, we had began a student pilot. It was off and running. It was going great. We had a huge number of students participating. We were getting great feedback, making system enhancements, and then March 18th. So since then, we dramatically edited our implementation plan. Just to give you some context, we had initially wanted to pilot Starfish and then sort of do a soft launch to students. That was the point of the pilot. And then as part of that was to sort of delay calendar integration and letting students do online scheduling. But given our very swift move to remote life, we needed to make some major changes to that plan. So we ripped the Band-Aid off. We released Starfish to students in not at all the way that we had planned to, and we moved calendar features up on our timeline dramatically. So again, Purnell's going to share a little bit more with you on those details, but this timeline has been drastically changed. I think it's working really well. One of the things that I thought was really impressive was we didn't really do a lot of marketing to students. We just sort of flipped the switch, and within, I think, a couple of hours of turning on the calendar or the scheduling feature, students were just finding it without any training or notification on our part, and they were figuring out how to schedule those appointments, how to communicate with some of our student services staff through Starfish, and that just sort of further validated for us that the platform is rather intuitive and is already making a difference for our students. And I think for many of you as well as faculty, in helping to kind of close those loops and those communications between the work that you're doing and the work that our students are doing, and then the work that we can help support on the student services side. So this is the updated implementation plan, and of course we're always looking at data, how we can enhance and improve the system, and then the support tools, and those are some of those key factors in Purnell's new role as a student retention coordinator. So with that, I will turn it over to Purnell.
Thank you, Tara, for that really kind introduction. Let me see here. Okay, so I just want to go over with you some of the data usage or the system usage for Starfish. This is a comparison of how certain flags have been used, or at least an increase in how the flags have been used between 2019 and 2020. You can see there's a huge jump in the academic performance flags as well as the kudos. I really want to hone in on the kudos that were raised. You could see the difference here. In 2020, there were 3,048 kudos that were raised compared to 451. That's over a 3,000% increase. Now, during the time of the shutdown, I spoke to several students, and I could really see how the kudos made a big difference because a lot of the students were concerned just in their progress in their class with the shutdown and whatnot. So having talked to at least 10 to 12 different students in the first week, I believe those kudos really played a big role in keeping them encouraged and providing some sense of normalcy during everything that was going on. Just like I said, just based off of some of the conversations that I've had. I mean, I really want to encourage you to continue to raise those, and thank you for raising those kudos. Even if a person isn't, they're not someone who thrives on that type of affirmation, it definitely helps from a psychological standpoint, just being encouraged. So thank you for that, and continue to raise those kudos. One of the other things that I was working on as soon as I got into the role, because I like to work ahead, was setting the calendar up within Starfish. I had it going the day that we closed down, for the most part. And you can see for spring 2020, there were 278 appointments that were scheduled. Now, the majority of those appointments were scheduled via Starfish. And then for summer 2020, there were 935 appointments scheduled. Now, still, the majority of them were through Starfish. However, it's not taking away that students could schedule an appointment via phone or with their academic advisor, or even, coming in to the front. But still, the majority of them were made via Starfish. So that is amazing. This is just a reminder of the tracking items that are still available. Nothing's changed much here. I believe the majority of you watching are aware that the no-shows are done through Starfish now, and you'll be prompted when to use those from an email that'll come out from financial aid. But the other flags, the referrals, as well as the kudos, those will remain the same for now. We're working on adding some more moving forward. And I'm going to skip down just a little bit. One of the other things that we added in the way of online support is the student Starfish support page and the faculty Starfish support page. That was something that we had set up just before we left, and feel free to send the students Starfish support page link out to students. There's even information on there that I've added as far as Starfish facts, just various things about some of the features within Starfish that faculty might even find useful. So feel free to take a look at that and pass that along to students. On the faculty Starfish support page, there's in-depth instructions on how to use the progress surveys, how and when to raise certain flags. So make sure you are aware of that as well. Moving back up, this is just my contact information. You can reach me via email. Microsoft Teams has my office number and my phone number. It's not listed on here, but you can also shine the Starfish signal over the campus, and I'll also appear. And for a select few of you, there's a Batman symbol that you probably have access to, and I'll also appear there too. So thank you.
Okay, well, good morning. Where's the clicker? Here we go. Before I give my annual update and what's coming on assessment, I thought it would be appropriate to take a step back, Dennis, and reflect on the accomplishments that we've already achieved, because we've done a lot. If you look at the bullet points that I've listed on this slide, any one of these things is a significant accomplishment for an institution to achieve, and we've done all of these things in 3 years. It's really phenomenal what we've been able to accomplish through your hard work. And so I just want to take that moment. If you were all in this room, I would make you give yourselves a standing ovation. You can do that at home if you want, feel free. But anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge that. All of this work culminates in a plan that allows us, sorry, I can't see with my glasses on, and I can't see with my glasses off, so this will be interesting. This allows us to have an assessment plan and a process that allows us to make data-based decisions to continuously improve learning. It has improved our consistency in our courses. I'm seeing faculty collaborate on assessment, and all of this benefits our students. And speaking of a plan, it wouldn't be an assessment update if I didn't put this poster up. And I'm not making any promises, but this might be the last time I put this poster up. So 3 years ago, the assessment team came back from the Assessment Academy, that was fall of 2017, with this plan that looks like a very ambitious, some might have said aggressive plan. But a plan is only as good as its execution, and we should be very proud of ourselves because we have executed this plan. I do want to home in on the last phase of the plan, which at the time we called it the core, because frankly, the need for general education reform and that was probably going to be fraught with anxiety was on our minds, and we didn't even want to use the words gen ed back then. So we called it the core. And you will see, if you look closely, as I've highlighted this area, that the plan actually called for us to start assessing general education in the spring of 2020. So it looks like we're a little behind, but really we're ahead, and here's why. So instead of just assessing one general education outcome this fall, we're actually going to assess all 3 of our general education outcomes. So it really puts us ahead of our plan in terms of gathering the data and acting on it. And also, I just would point out to you that it felt like a really fast timeline when we finally did attack general education reform. Imagine what it would have been like with everything else that you all were doing just with assessment, not to mention COVID, to have accelerated that timeline for general education. So I think we've, as an institution, done a very remarkable thing in staying true to this timeline and actually coming out ahead. So when the HLC, we're not doing it for the HLC, we are doing it to improve learning, but we do know that the HLC would like to see how we are improving learning. And so by the time that they come to visit us next fall, we will have assessed our general education outcomes, and we will have had an opportunity to start looking at the data and begin talking about what changes we want to implement to improve learning at the general education level. So kudos to all of you. Okay, next slide. All right, so now for some just quick updates on where we are. You all know we adopted the Bruin Standard in the spring. It's effective this fall, and so our guided pathways program maps all have to be updated as our programs did for the catalog. Now the maps have to be updated to reflect the Bruin Standard. And Dawn Larson and Donna Molaski, who are chairing the Guided Pathways group this year, will give you more updates on that in a couple minutes. We have selected an assessment instrument for Gen Ed. We will be using products developed by Educational Testing Services, or ETS, and we'll actually have 4 different assessments because when we assess personal and cultural engagement, we'll need to use 2 different assessment tools. There will be more on that coming. Also this fall, you will have the opportunity once again to submit courses for inclusion in the general education or applied cores, and I'll be sending out information on that very shortly. The general education team met again yesterday and finalized what that process will look like. I'll just give you a heads up, there will be a deadline of September 30th to submit courses, and then there will be another deadline of February 1st this year. And any changes that would be accepted would take place for the next academic year, fall of 2021. Okay, so, but I'll be sending out that information shortly. And it will also appear in the next assessment newsletter, which will also be coming out shortly. So the next thing that you all have been working on over the summer and will continue to work on over the next few weeks is syllabi in WIDS. So all of the master syllabi are now complete in WIDS, which was a huge accomplishment. Thank you for all of you, and a special thanks to Pat Koff, who is a retired professor of math who entered a ton of information for everybody so that you all did not have to do it. And then we had a work study student, Gianna, who also went back and made changes, and now there's some more changes that need to be made because we're putting more information in about some policy changes. All of that will be done. Gianna will, and we may have another work study student as well, who will help to enter that information so you all will not need to make those changes to your master syllabi. And when the changes are made in the master syllabi, they will automatically populate in your individual syllabi. You won't need to do anything about that. So what you'll be working on this semester, if you haven't done it over the summer, is putting your individual syllabi in WIDS. And there is a workshop, a faculty training session tomorrow on how to put your individual syllabi in WIDS and then connect it to Moodle. And that, I believe, is at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and is required for full-time faculty. Okay, so those syllabi are due in WIDS October 2nd. We recognize that some of you may have created your syllabi over the summer, and that's what you've put in Moodle. That's fine, but your syllabi will need to be in WIDS by October 2nd. Assessment day this year is going to look a little different. It's going to be virtual for starters, and it's going to be a true working session. We'll have about an hour or so in the morning with some general updates and a couple of presentations, and then instead of having the day where you're all meeting at the same time, we have scheduled an hour with each discipline group, and Holly and I will meet with you, and Dean Baskin may also want to join with the occupational programs. And instead of me sending you out the guiding questions that you answer and then send the stuff back, we'll sit down and we'll talk with you about those things, and we'll enter that information in WIDS while we're talking. So the goal here is to make sure that all of our information in WIDS is complete so that we can pull complete assessment reports out of WIDS to provide evidence for the HLC. And that is where we will house our assessment story moving forward. So in order to do that, we can't get all the groups in on one day. So some of the groups will be scheduled for October 9th, and some of the groups will be scheduled for October 16th. So you will continue this semester, as you will forever and ever, amen, with course assessment. Just remember, you're to assess one outcome per course. The link to submit your data, if it hasn't been sent out yet, will come out soon, and it also will, of course, appear in the next newsletter. So watch for that. We'll also start a program review process very soon, and the AA, the AS, and the AGS programs will probably be the first to go through that institutional program review process, which is different from the process that Perkins uses. And then finally, of course, we will assess our Bruin standard this fall. Our goal is to assess 300 students per outcome, and the window of dates is likely to be October 5th through October 16th is when assessment will take place. Faculty whose sections are selected to administer the assessment will get that information around the middle of September. Just recall that if you teach a course that is included in the general education core or the applied core, that means that your course, a section or more than one section of your course, may be randomly selected for you to administer the assessment. So watch for that information and be ready to do that sometime during that October timeframe. All right. Just quickly, I'm going to put up the group meeting dates that we have established, so you can look to see if you can find yourself there. If you don't find yourself there, please let me or Holly, and that's Holly Van Dam, not Holly McKee, please let us know if you don't see yourself there. And then as we move into what I'm going to call the maintenance phase of our assessment plan, I just want to once again express my appreciation and admiration for the work that you all have done. It's a lot of work, and you should be very proud of yourselves. And in particular, I'd like to thank the faculty and staff and administrators who are continuing to serve on the assessment team and on the general education committee. We all should be very proud of ourselves. Thanks a lot.
How do I? Oh, what do I press? Forward. There we go. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Don Molaski. I'm the Director for Academic Advising, and I'm also one of the co-chairs for the Guided Pathway Steering Committee. Next to me, I'm going to have my co-chair, my other co-chair, introduce herself.
Good morning, I'm Dawn Larson, and I work in the Social Science Department, and I have the delightful pleasure of serving KCC in a new role, co-chairing on the GPI committee with Donna Molaski. Just to get started this morning, I'm going to just do a little sidetrack from the guided pathways. And I'd like to wish my fellow chair, Barb Sudeikis, a very happy birthday. And I hope that if you're part of the ARCO team, that you all have a good day with Barb and you celebrate her. Pathways is the gold standard for community college reform. Definitely the focus is on supporting students' college journey and with the end goal of completion. We want to get them there, help them meet their goals. KCC is a mentor school, so go team. We've done really amazing work on this.
Dawn and I want to keep you on your toes, so we're going to switch back and forth, okay? Be a little lively. So before we actually get into any Guided Pathways update, Dawn and I would like to extend the appreciations. We want to thank all the faculty and staff who has dedicated their time and effort moving the Guided Pathways initiative forward here at KCC. So sincerely, thank you. Now, Dawn's going to come back, so we'll do a little shuffle, and she's going to continue with updates.
Well, one thing I want to share is when we're talking about appreciation, I don't know how many of you realize how many faculty members have joined with their peers across the state to create statewide articulation agreements. And these are really going to streamline transfer for our students. They are to a great benefit to our students. In phase 1, we signed agreements in biology, business, criminal justice, and psychology. And phase 2 and 3, which we just signed over this summer, we signed agreements in art, communication, exercise science, mechanical engineering, and social work. So this is just exceptionally good work. Again, a great benefit to our students, and we appreciate all the faculty that came together to make these statewide articulation agreements come to fruition. Now it's Donna's turn.
So for our focus for this year, our focus is going to be on accelerated developmental education. And I should say, within you might have heard of the Michigan Start to Finish initiative, which is under the Guided Pathways umbrella, we will be focusing on retention of KCC students through the completion of college-level English and math within their first year of college enrollment. We'll accomplish this actually by reviewing and improving policies under developmental education, such as placement, really to ensure student success. So this is going to be our main focus for this upcoming academic year. All right.
I think Tanya calls us the 2 Ds, Donna and Dawn. So I hope we make a good unit. I know we will. Just to update on the pathway templates, those are going to be an interface between us and the public. And they have been updated in an accessible one-page template. They are in the process. They aren't completely done, but almost all of them have been touched in some format, definitely on the way. And those will be located on the KCC webpage. If you're wondering, like, is any of your classes involved, anything like that, more information will be probably shared in the upcoming chair and director meeting, and then we'll be coming back to the different departments. And thank you again for allowing us to serve in this capacity, and we look forward to our work this next year.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Tammy Douglas. I'm the Director of Learning Technologies. And I want to give you a few updates of some of the things we've been working on over our closure and over the last few semesters. As Holly McKee alluded to, we do have an online proctoring software that the college has purchased, which is Respondus. We've purchased 2 products through Respondus. One is Lockdown Browser, and the other is Monitor. And they work together or independently. So Lockdown Browser is available to you through Moodle integration on the Moodle test server right now and should be moving over to live, I believe, soon. Ron just gave me the today sign, I think. So that should be happening very quickly here. So Lockdown Browser will allow you, those of you who do online proctored test right now, to be able to implement a browser that's secure to keep students from accessing any other aspects of their computer while they take an exam. And Monitor adds an additional functionality through the webcam, so they can be monitored. Students will be recorded, but it's not live monitoring. So the recording will be available to you as the instructor only to review later. So if you so choose to look at those individual recordings, you may, and make some determinations based on that. So we have some training materials that are available in the Moodle site, which is called Distance Education Resources. That is available hopefully to every faculty member, administrator, coordinator, as many people as we can find to put in there, we will. If you don't have access, please let me know and I'll get you put in. So that should be on Moodle Live, and it's Distance Education Resources. Another piece is we're still supporting NetTutor, which is the online tutoring, and Holly McKee also talked a little bit about that. So that's still available through Moodle, both on the side block and also through the portal. So students can still use that tool, and it's also available to be put in as an activity into your course if you so choose. If you need any help with that, let myself know, let me know, or Ron Collar, or touch base with Holly, so we can all help you with that. We do have online meeting tools, which many of you have been experiencing over the last few months. You may be a little bit fatigued on some of these tools. We certainly understand that. So Zoom is one of those tools that's available to you to teach your classes if you so choose. Let me know. I have some licenses available for you to share or to use exclusively. So let me know about that. And once you record through Zoom, we ask that you please download your videos and put them over on Ensemble or Stream or someplace else for student access. Teams is available, which is very similar to Zoom. So that's integrated into Office 365, which you'll be hearing more about as the semester starts up. But Teams is integrated into Office 365 also with Stream, which is the streaming server. So once you record your video through Teams, it's available through Stream. Zoom doesn't have any cool rhyming tools, so I'm kind of bummed about that. But and the last piece is our OWL cameras, which are available hopefully soon. They're ordered, they're coming. The Parliament of Owls is on its way. But these are webcams that have a voice-activated 365 camera on top. So it's not perfect for every situation, so if you're interested in learning more about that, please contact me. I have a lot of information for you. Some of your departments already have them on reserve, but I do have a waiting list, so if you'd like to be put on that for the next set of owls that's coming in, please let me know. And again, check out that Distance Education Resources Moodle site for additional information, inspiration, tutorials, all kinds of stuff. You'll get kind of overwhelmed with all the stuff that's in there. So thank you very much and have a great semester.
Good morning, I'm Dennis Baskin. I'm the new Dean of Workforce Development here at KCC. I want to provide an update on Perkins. In 2018, President Trump reauthorized the Perkins. During that time, it was Perkins 4. It's now Perkins 5, which is the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century. The college received notification of our federal allocation of Perkins dollars, which will be $418,466. Our college is gracious enough to add additional dollars as a match. So this year we will be expending about $600,000 for Perkins. During the reauthorizations of Perkins, there are some new requirements as it relates to Perkins that focuses in on core performance indicators. In the previous reauthorization, there were 6 indicators, and during this authorization, there are 3. The first one deals with post-secondary retention placement, which is our 1P1. Our second one, which deals with earned recognized post-secondary credentials, will be the 2P1. And the third core performance indicator focuses on non-traditional program enrollment, which will be 3P1. The reauthorizations of the Perkins program focuses on giving the states more latitude to set requirements, and the states have required the local authorities to work with their community stakeholders to set parameters as it relates to Perkins. So for the 2020 to 2021, we have set our core performance indicators, and I feel very comfortable with those core performance indicators. During the reauthorization process, it required KCC to engage in a comprehensive local needs analysis where we came together with a number of stakeholders to see the needs of our area. So in closing, the other change that relates to Perkins is the focus, and I'm very pleased that there's a greater focus as it relates to our special population of students. During this reauthorization, there was the elimination of the focus of displaced homemakers and a greater focus on homeless individuals and youth. And so in addition to those additions, the college will do greater efforts to make sure that we are going to have more students of color and more women in our underrepresented areas, like, for example, our industrial trades. Perkins is very familiar to many of you because you receive dollars to pay for the Trends Conference. And we have received notification that the Trends Conference will be virtual, but the final information on that conference has not been released. Once that information has been released, we will share that information with your chairs and directors, and they will get that information out to the faculty. In closing, if you have any other questions as it relates to Perkins, please feel free to reach out to me or the Perkins guru, Mary Louise. Thank you.
I didn't realize there was a block there.
Okay. Oh, the block's for me. Thank you for bearing with our technical preparations. Let me see if I can do this. Nope.
There we go.
Good morning. I'm Dean Reed, and my colleagues Cassie Dunham and Rebecca Love have joined me to give you a brief virtual report of some of our activities this summer in preparation for the fall semester, aka what we've done during summer lockdown and on our vacation. We're here to help the entire KCC community, either face-to-face or virtually, and Cassie will talk to us about copyright and OER.
I'm Cassie Dunham. I am one of the librarians, and most of you know me. I am the liaison for math and science, technology, business, and public safety education. I'm the person on campus that you come to if you have questions about copyright or open educational resources. So if you have questions of that sort, please reach out to me.
All right. And I'm Rebecca Love. I am the liaison to the Allied Health, Social Sciences, Arts and Communication, Education, and Physical Education departments. In terms of library instruction, I'm sure many of you already know that we are happy to come visit your class to talk about subjects such as citing sources, finding sources, and that's all completely customizable to what you and your course need. So if you want us to give you the entire lecture, we're happy to do that. If you want us to just cover MLA citations, we're happy to limit it to whatever you have time for. And with the current situation, if your course is meeting virtually and you'd like us to visit your class with Zoom or Teams, just let us know. We're happy to work with you on that. And then any library or reference services that you need, we are also happy to help deliver that to you. Just get in contact with us and let us know. You both took off your masks, so
Yes.
I'm going over here and taking off mine.
We're open for you and your students while you're on campus, but also we're supporting student success. I'm handing it back over to Rebecca to talk about our curriculum.
So new this semester, we've been working over the summer on developing a curriculum of research tutorials that, again, are very easy to customize, add what you need for your course.
These tutorials all have video instructions created by the library covering small topics such as performing a basic search in a database or telling if a source is scholarly or not, and you can build those depending on, again, what you need for your course. If you're interested in learning more, seeing what's available, or having the results sent to you, so if as your students complete them, you'd like to know which students actually took the time to do it, contact us. We're happy to work with you on that. In terms of Moodle, this is not a new service, but you might be interested this semester. If you would like your students to have a direct way to access a librarian, whether that's having a place to ask questions or you would like us to share some resources with you, that is available. Again, just contact us. We can get that set up and be embedded in your Moodle course. And if you would like your students to have an easy place to go to access resources for an assignment, we do have the research guides. If you don't have one for your subject or you would like updates to it, or even if you would like one for a specific course or specific assignment, again, we're happy to work with you on all of that. So just let us know.
And just to reiterate, we have an array of off-campus support, including answering your reference questions through our 24/7, 365 consortial chat service. We're also available for Computer Commons and other of our traditional services. Okay. This fall semester, KCC is taking part in a National Science Foundation funded pilot of a new peer-to-peer study app and website, CircleIn. CircleIn enables students to study online together while requiring no faculty involvement or maintenance. The most successful student influencers earn points, gift cards, and CircleIn scholarships for positively engaging and supporting their community of fellow learners. The pilot will help us determine whether CircleIn has a possible role in assisting KCC students to achieve their educational goals. The platform is student-driven, but faculty can view usage reports and remain connected and see the levels of participation in their classes. The pilot team selected classes utilizing tutor.com data from the Bridge, now the Student Success Department. The sample includes major gateway courses and is broadly representative of offerings across the instructional division. We're hoping to extend the pilot into the spring semester and anticipate adding other courses depending on the fall semester results. Feel free to contact one of the pilot team, Cassie, Rebecca, and myself with any questions. You see the theme here of the threesome. You'll be receiving periodic updates concerning the pilot from us during the semester. Thank you again to all faculty who will be participating. And we'll end with, we know we're not going to have time for questions because the silence is deafening. However, if you need help again, we're just a call or a click away. You can call us, you can email us, or you can go through our website. Thank you.
So, I'm going to return here. And I've got a couple things to chat with you about. The first one I want to talk about is just some updates with regards to our policies. In one of my emails, I referenced the link where you can find several of the policies, and I've got a screenshot from the website, which I provided in an email about a week or 2 weeks ago, in terms of how to access this. And I want to draw your particular attention to two in particular. The first one is the academic appeal policy, and I want to make sure you understand the significance of this. The two I'm going to reference here are things I actually would invest some time in either in your first or second email earlier on in the semester as you set up your expectations and how you intend to govern your classes, as well as the notion of trying to ensure you have clarity with what you're going to do when, fill in the blank, as it were. So the appeal process, there's really three things I want to point out to you. At some point, I really recommend you reading that and being able to reference that because you want to be able to hold students accountable to this. And you've got to share the information if you're going to hold them accountable to this. The first focus is on timing. For example, it's a matter of if a student wants to appeal something, they really have to do it within 5 business days. That keeps us moving. That does not mean we're going to be going back, weeks at a time to revisit something else. Or, for example, you'll notice 10 business days if the question or appeal is regarding final grades. What this does is this tries to shorten things up. This should help the faculty as you interact with students. This should also help administrators with regards to really emphasizing forward movement. The second focus on this one is really on a notion of resolution and making sure that that's taken care of and we document that. The first resolution that we always look for occurring is with that instructor of record if a student has an issue. If it were to go further, it could be by administrative review by the dean or the designee. The designee many times would be their chair or director. And then the third one is obviously coming to me as VP if there's new information discovered. This does not occur very often, but it really focuses on the fact of resolution. And the third one is documentation. One of the things that we have to do is we have to keep track and use our college emails on our college sites or Moodle or LMS and really print things off to document some of these processes. So that way if there's a question raised in the future, we've got that in hand. So academic appeal, it definitely is worth your while to review. It definitely is worth your while to communicate with your students your expectations with regards to the process by which they can appeal these things. My goal is that when they get to the end of the semester, they're not talking about, well, I think it was because I really wanted to argue about my grade in the third week. If you communicate from the very beginning that there's a time frame within which if they have a question they should talk to you, this is going to circumvent a lot of those looking backwards to ascertain a change of sorts from you. So please pay attention to the academic appeal policy as official. The second one is the administrative withdrawal policy, and I'm really pleased with all the policies that we did. We really did, I think, a very robust review, working with Faculty Senate in particular on this one, as well as other faculty for feedback. There's a couple things that this policy does for us. It really focuses on due process for everyone, as well as recognizing the student may have the opportunity to correct behavior, because this is really referring to times where a student could be removed by a faculty member or by an administrator, a dean or myself. What it does, there are terms that we've used, I believe, on campus, and we've never really formalized it. What this does, this formalizes the notion of what that excessive absence is, and it talks about the action that an instructor can have, and we are actually documenting it, as we were referring to, as being absent for more than 20% of the class. We are officially now defining and stating what we refer to as missed assessments, and here we're talking about totaling over 40% of the course assessment, again, permitting withdrawal by the instructor. The final one also is a phrase that we've used and we've thrown around, but again, we've never documented it in our policies or our processes. This is the notion of a mathematical impossibility of course success, and it permits withdrawal by the instructor. One of the key things I always reference with this is remember that some of our students could benefit by remaining in the class where they may still fail, but they want to remain in the class to, as it were, have a first attempt at the material, or two, in some cases, they want to remain in the class to maintain their full-time or keep their financial aid and not have an issue with that later on. So keep in mind that final bullet, you really have to have a conversation with the student, be aware of what the scenarios are. But again, what this does is this formalizes some of the process and the words that we've used, but we've never actually documented it in this kind of institutional document. What's also interesting that what this document addresses is this also talks about what to do from the perspective of classroom management in your class. It allows you to actually have a due process approach to classroom management. If there's repeated behavior, document it. Communicate what your expectations truly are. We define it here as at least 3 instances. You can have more, but again, this is about clarity, making sure that you share with your students what this policy does, because this is what you're going to use, most likely, I would hope, to hold them accountable for the behavior in the classroom. Please know the underlined component. It's not underlined in the policy, but I wanted to make sure I did it here for focus. If there is a single incident that is severe as determined by myself, obviously the instructor of record would propose it or share it with their chair or director and or dean. And then eventually I would assume it would get to me. It is possible that I could withdraw them right away. Please note that is a change from our past procedures. Again, this is trying to assess and keep due process, but also accountability for, and you'll notice as the bullet moves onwards, talks about the notion of really keeping that educational environment sound. Again, documented by the faculty member, confirmed by the dean or designee, and supported by myself. The focus really is on maintaining a positive and engaging learning environment. I do not want one individual to ruin the learning environment for a faculty member or the instructor or whoever it is, or lab individual, does not matter, and the other, as it were, 24 students in the class. It really is about keeping the learning environment paramount. Please note, the focus, this is only going to work if you're going to use this, if you communicate it and you document it. There are sample communications that actually came out of Faculty Senate from years past. Again, those are actually formally in that document as a sample. You don't have to use the exact template, but it really identifies the stepped approach to if there's continued behavior that needs to be addressed, and again, outlines a due process approach. So please, please, please read this, utilize it, and make references to it, especially at the beginning of the class, because if you're going to hold students accountable to this, they have to understand the rules and expectations that you are setting for them. And by having it as a college policy, you now can actually refer to it. This is how KCC operates within the classroom. Please read the other policies, but those 2 are the ones I wanted to focus on. There's a couple other items I want to make sure you're aware of. Attendance taken. During this time period, when there's a need for possible contact tracing, it is going to be very, very important that you keep attendance every single day in class, because if we were to have a case where we have to inform, the county health department would ask us to, could you provide the names of everyone who was in the class where student X was? We will then have to loop back to you and ask you, could you please provide who was in that class on that date? Please understand that as you're taking attendance every day, we're not asking that you report it every single day. Absolutely not. All we're asking is that you have to take it, though, because if a situation or case arises and we have to report back to the county health, we have to give them those list of names, because the county health department is going to be the one to initiate those calls and begin that contact tracing process. That is a change in the norm, but that is purely linked to our COVID awareness on campus. FYS, please note that Kate has, I wanted to say Kate DeGraff. Her last name is now? Copland. Thank you. Kate Copland it's very important that you recognize that she has taken over the FYS supervision, that in the past Judy, who's since gone into a blissful retirement, I'm sure, and eventually she will be located in the LRC right behind the Professional Development Center. So please be aware of that. We'll have a formal notification coming out when that location is actually finalized. My third bullet here with regards to HLC feedback, it is imperative. I know the KCC broadcast went out today. An attachment was not attached to that broadcast, so I've asked that it be resent if it hasn't already. That will be important for you to recognize where the HLC document is listed, and also have the process by which we're looking for feedback. The first couple sessions that we have in that broadcast, it pointed out the Zoom sessions. We are looking for feedback on what are the weaknesses of what you read for those areas. What are some opportunities? What are some things we can work on? That is incredibly important to our process, and I thank you so much for the work you've done so far, because frankly, our progress and our feedback and our assistance in building the assurance argument could not have been done without all of you. So thank you so much for that. There's a lot of work that we're going to be looking at in the future with the strategic plan. As you heard from Dr. Bennons yesterday, you have the tenets of what the house looks like in terms of our pillars, our apex for the roof, and what the base is at with the equity, diversity, and inclusion base. There's some metrics, and there are some outcomes that are still to be determined. You will possibly be asked to contribute to that ideation process. The goal is for us to try to, again, add those metrics by the end of this semester. So we have still some work to do on the plan to finalize that. So there is still opportunities for additional ownership of that plan. So I look forward to your involvement. Some couple of things that are off the agenda, because as I'm thinking about these things last night, I thought of two. One of the items, actually got a quick reminder, I think it was last night from Colleen, is just to keep in mind with FERPA, as we're increasingly in an online environment, many of the information that you are sharing in those areas are still FERPA protected. And for that reason, in many times, we oftentimes will encourage and suggest that you use the college-sponsored items. So for example, the LMS Moodle, it's on there, it's FERPA protected, it's our circle of trust at that point in time. When you think of if you're recording a class setting, for example, you will not want to post that widely, because what you're doing is you're declaring, if I were to go on YouTube, you're declaring to the world of every single individual who's in that class. And that's actually FERPA protected. So as much as possible, keep your circle of trust tight. YouTube is not a YouTube is not a circle of trust. Using the Moodle sites, using the links, staying within the software that's attached to your class, that is perfectly okay, and many of you are doing that. So just keep in mind that it's a different environment, but FERPA still does apply. Keep in mind also, from one of my emails, I gave you a what if. Several of you have asked me, well, do I think that we will transition to remote at some point? I think I expressly said that in my email, but if not, you can read between the lines, or trust me, everything I see, my gut says we are at some point this semester going to be heading that way. The positivity rates, I check just about every 2 days for sure. It's not gone above the number I shared with you since, I think, 2 weeks. It continues to hover around 1%, 2% at this point. But one cannot tell when hotspots pop up, and obviously we cannot predict when we would have a governmental order to stay at home or something even more direct with regards to higher education. So please keep that in mind. As you've heard from me before, is I highly encourage that you keep all of your materials in a place where you can actually transition to online, or frankly, that you begin to prepare for that eventuality occurring. For example, using a gradebook if you've never used it before, possibly seeking out Ron or other resources, or a peer faculty member to assist in that endeavor. Or as you're building your lectures and you're recording them, maybe you're posting them there already, because it's going to be about trying to make a transition, if a transition happens, as easy as possible, because we'll have to do that quickly as in the next class. So keep that in mind as you prepare. So I always end, most times, with a bit of a muse in our thought, or something to focus us on. And this summer was particularly interesting for multiple reasons. You know, I had a word and I had a thought, and I was conflicted up to last night. I almost changed this twice, but I believe I'm going to stick with what my gut was saying when I finalized it 10 days ago. And I'll push forward one more, and this is actually the one that kind of firmed it up for me. So, if you are not aware of who Sir Ken Robinson is, so he's a renowned British author and speaker. Actually, I think he's one of the most watched TED Talks, for example. I think there's one from 2008 and 2016 in particular that are amazing. I actually came across him years ago with regards to, he's seen as one of those creative individuals and speakers on creativity as it relates to education. Unfortunately, he passed away recently, and that's actually why this quote kind of came back to me about a week ago. And the quote talks about, and I'll read it with you. It says, human communities depend upon a diversity of talent, not a singular conception of ability, and at the heart of the challenge is to reconstitute our sense of ability and intelligence. And I probably could talk on that for like 45 minutes, but it's remarkable with regards to the notion, and here's just one simple notion, that the notion that when we have a community, and I think we have a community here on campus, or educational ecosystem of sorts, where we cannot have everyone looking like the other or having the same talents as the other. It truly has and needs a diversity of talent. Sometimes, and this is where we're going to get to what my thought is shortly, sometimes when we see this, and my talent might be diverse than Marcia, for example. I'll pick on Marcia for a minute here. And I may look at Marcia's talent, and I may say, well, wait a minute. I think Marcia's better because I wish my talent was more standardized like Marcia's. She's clapping right now, by the way, if you can imagine. What you could understand is I would have to recognize that we are better for the diverse talents that Marcia has and I have. And it's together where we have different talents that we can achieve great things. The issue that I may have, though, as again I'm looking at Marcia and I'm thinking Marcia's wonderful and she's amazing, I wish my talents were like hers, that I have to sometimes recognize that what I have done or what I have achieved is enough for the setting. I am going to fully contribute to that. So my phrase for this semester is going to be the notion that you are enough, or I am enough, or we are enough. So there's a saying I'm going to read that is referenced in two ways, and you may know it from Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 4 to 5, or you might know it as the epigraph of Hemingway's "The Sun Also Rises." So it goes like this. It says, "One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. The sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteneth to his place where he arose." Hence Hemingway's "The Sun Also Rises." It's a portion of that piece. Well, why would I say it? Well, why would I use that? So every single day since March, when the pandemic and our shutdown began, the sun has risen, the sun has set. The moon has waxed, the moon has waned. I know we've had some births in our Bruin family. I know some of us have lost some dear loved ones, family members. I know some folks who've had great ideas. I know some folks who've had bad ideas. I know some folks who've had successes. I know some who have had failures. I know some of you have fallen in love. Some of you have gotten married. Those things have not changed. Holds true now. It'll hold true tomorrow. It'll hold true a year from now. Now, all those things that are very much a cycle of life type of events, sometimes it's not much comfort to know that, but it is some comfort, right? It's not much comfort, but it is some comfort. We talk about the beat goes on, right? The band marches on. We talk about that rhythm of life. We talk about our educational ecosystem keep being active. even if it's changed. We have blips on the radar, but we keep on moving. What we have to do many times is to take solace in this, to continue on ourselves. Please know that this is a different time as I stand here with an audience of about 15 right now. We'll get through this. We've gotten through lots of things in the last year and a half. You've gotten through things without me beforehand. We continue to adapt and adjust. That's all. That's what we do nonstop. If I can use the F from either the Ecclesiastes or Hemingway, you know, our life, our education life, abideth forever. So there's no reason to get angry at times, to be increasingly frustrated, or afraid, or bitter. Those are perfect natural reactions, but what we have to do is many times rise above those. We've got to be resolute, resilient, gritty, show our best stick-to-itiveness, and continue to do the best that we can. We are all extremely talented. We're all different. We can all be our best, different, and diverse selves. We all have different cards to play, but we are all in this game together. There's a phrase that I used when I coached a female JV basketball. We would always say, we're all that we've got, and they would respond, we're all that we need. Again, we're all that we've got, we're all that we need. What that means is you are enough, plainly put. It means you're up to the tasks ahead of us this semester and beyond. And if I can quote the great philosopher Christopher Robin, as he spoke to Pooh Bear, he said, "You're braver than you believe, you're stronger than you seem, and you are smarter than you think. If nothing else, when the going gets tough, and it's going tough already for some of you, and when the trials come, and there are crazy times in the days ahead in any semester, because such is life, please remember that we are enough, you are enough, and I am enough." All right? So blessings to you all. I trust you will have a great fall. Look forward to interacting with you over the next couple of days for those of you who are on campus. And if not, I will definitely see some of you over the course of this semester. So blessings to all of you, and I hope you have a great semester, and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.